Okay, so let's have a little bit of fun with some deformers. Okay, the nonlinear deformers, get that out of there. The nonlinear deformers are really very powerful and one of my favorite tools in Maya. So I'm just going to tear off their menu. And yeah, so if I just toss a nonlinear bend deformer onto our phone booth, this is what it looks like. It's just a straight line for its handle. So you have two pieces. You got a handle, and then you got the bend deformer itself. Okay, in this case, the bend deformer has a curvature attribute. And if I rotate the handle forward, now it's going to bend forward, so it looks like that from the side. Okay, and let's see, yeah, okay. And so we have a few other little features in here. Okay, the envelope, if I turn the envelope to 0, just turns the deformer off. So it's a way you could blend it on. And you can set keyframes on that, of course. The curvature bends it over, and you guessed it, to get a perfect circle, it's 3.1 blah, 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 blah. It's pi. And you got negative in the other way. Okay, so it's nice, it's light, it's very flexible. I can move the handle around and it'll keep going in one direction or the other. I have a low bound, okay, so, and a high bound. All right, and they basically work the same way, just in opposite directions. So if I put the high bound to 1, as you see, it's not curving the bottom section anymore. I can just put that on the floor. And as you see, it bends it to a point and then goes off straight. If I take the high bound up, okay, it will keep going with that curvature. So it's sort of the range that I'll do. Okay, that's a little more than probably necessary for the demo. And if I take it all the way down, so yeah, I mean, I could animate that. I could set a couple keyframes on that attribute. So that's what the low bound and high bound does. And of course, it's all relevant to where you put the pivot point on a given object. And that's really what deformers are all about. They can go onto lattices. You can put them on curved deformers. They work on the CVs. They don't work on the faces. So, you know, the more CVs, the better results that you get. And so I'm just going to pulled out the bend deformer. We'll select that guy again. We'll just toss on the flare deformer. So here we have the flare. So we have the handle once again up above. And we have a curvature attribute, like so. And we have the flare at the base, okay, at the start. Okay, so as you see what it's done for me there, it's stretched it out. So that's what that bottom part looks like. And so if I take the end flare at the top, I can go the other way, like so. And you have the inbound and outbound. Okay, so I'm just changing those, where those guys are. And everything is keyable and flexible. You know, if I can just rotate this around, you get some neat effects. Pretty straightforward. Okay, pulling that guy off. The sine wave. Okay, oops, select, sine. Okay, and this is, once again, straightforward. A little bit trickier. Okay, and so we have the amplitude, so I have to give it a little bit of amplitude. And then we have a thing called the offset, all right, which you can key. All right. Now, if you're doing water waves, I find for some reason, yeah. Oh no, that's the other one. Yeah, it's they're similar but yet different. Okay, so this is keyable, handy. We have a drop off. which is going to drop it off as it goes to the outside of the handle there. If I move the handle out, okay, so it's just dropped it off at either end here. Okay, so as you see, those are now connected. If I put the drop off to 0, okay, you can see how the wave just sort of keeps going like that. So I can drop off here at the outer edge, and so we'll just taper down. So that's just what the drop off does. And oops, there we go. So that can be very handy. All right, oops, yeah, it doesn't like -1 for some reason. All righty. So then I have my low bound, okay, which I can take down, or I can take these guys up to 10. Yeah, the thing I like about taking them up to 10 is I can just key the verticality, key the y-axis there, and it goes. So very powerful, and it's also fun to rotate as well. Okay, so that's just your sine wave. Now the squash, very powerful guy. Okay. The key thing here is the factor. So as you see, as I modify the factor, we squash and stretch the the phone booth here. Okay, so how much it expands is dealt with the expand attribute. Okay, and so you have your low bound and high bound, and it all works on where you put the pivot point. So my high bound ends right there at the moment. So if I take the high bound up, and this one really, to keep the center of things, you need the low bound and the high bound to match a lot of the times. Okay, but that's not much of a big deal. And okay, and so I can just, so very, very flexible, a lot of fun, and you should know this one from the set-driven key on the bouncing ball. So, sorry, the bouncing ball tutorial. Alrighty, so pulling that guy out. So, oh, yeah, twist. So select it, add the twist. Okay, so you got your start and your end angle. Okay, so one of them is at one end of your model, one's at the other. Okay, everything is keyable. You have your handles up here, so you can rotate the whole thing around. Okay, and so that can be a lot of fun. All right, and you got your high bounds and your low bounds. Now, as I keep showing you these guys, I keep deleting out the handles. If I grab the model and do a edit, delete by type history, bam, the handle goes away, and now it's like as if I've modeled this. So if you need to model something with a bend, toss a bend deformer on it, and then delete the history, and you can get a very complex shape. It would have been a nightmare for me to try to model this shape like that. Oh yeah. So zing back, and so now I delete out the deformer. Okay, and then the wave, and I'll do the water wave down here on the ground plane. Opening this guy up. So here too we have the amplitude. You have the wavelength. So, and there's the modifying the offset now with a long wavelength. I can shorten that wavelength. Now, since it works on the CVs, at a certain point you get your wavelength so short it won't be able to modify the CVs to match. There's not enough CVs there. So you're going to need more CVs to get the effect that you want. Okay, and so to make this guy animate, I have found, if we just put this guy back to 0, and key, and make this all go to, let's say, 1,000. And over here, to make it so it, okay, I did get that key. If I do negative 50 here, like that, and hit play, as you see, they go outwards. Okay, if you go in a positive direction, they go inwards. So that's just my little tip on that one. We can get this thing to stop. Righto. Then you have your drop off. So that drops it off at the outer edge. If your drop off position is 0. If your drop off position is 1, okay, it drops it off at the middle. So now if I hit play, okay, it's steady in the middle there, and it is going more so on the outside. So very handy. And obviously you have your radius. So you can do a radius of 12, which makes it huge. You can do an inner radius of, a few, so it, oops, maybe not that big. So it starts here. Let's take that to 3. Okay. Ta-da! So there's plenty of things that you can play with here to get the effects that you need. Well, hope that helps. Have fun.